because here this part between A and B, there is no closed path. So if there is no closed path, it means that if you connect a resistor here, that resistance is infinite. Let's consider that open circuit means there is a resistance between that point. So you can consider that A and B is a open circuit here. Okay, it means that you can connect a resistor here, that resistance value is infinite. Okay, you can consider like that. Why I am saying like this, if a current needs to flow through this path, you know that I is equal to V divided by R, right? So this resistance, let's say R1, let's say this is R2. So if you consider R1 plus R2, if your R2 is infinite, then you know that I will be 0. Okay, so you can consider that the terminals A and B is is an open circuit. Then in that case, current will not flow. Why current will not flow? Because it is like you are connecting a resistor of infinite resistance value. So if you are connecting an infinite resistance value, if you obtain the current for that infinite resistance, the current will be coming as 0, right? So that's why we are saying that in the open circuit there will not be any current flow between this, because we are considering that actually it is like you are connecting a infinite resistance across the terminals A and B. So if a current can flow, then it can flow only in the closed loop or closed path. Okay, here this is like a open path. Okay, open means here you cannot connect these 2 points as it is. Here it is a open. You if the current coming out of this terminal, then it cannot move between A and B like this. So that is called as open path. So in general we call this as an open circuit. In general we call this as an open circuit, and this will be considered as a circuit. Okay, circuit is always closed. Okay, so open circuit means this is not closed. Okay, that is one thing. Then the network. So why I have given network here is, a network is also an interconnection of elements. It can be either open or closed, but the circuit should always be closed. Okay, that's why I have drawn. So you can consider both these circuits as networks. It can be open like this. Open in the sense you don't have any element here. So since you do not have any element here, current cannot flow through this path. So you can consider this as a network, whereas this is not a circuit. This is not a circuit because it is not closed. So if you consider this one, this is a circuit, also this is a network. So you can say that all circuits are networks, but all networks are not circuits. Okay, so if you consider this complete part, you can say that if you are starting from point A and if you are moving like this, then you can call this part ABEFA. So ABEFA, this is a circuit, also this you can call it as a network. Okay, and if you are considering this B, C, D, E and B, so if you are traveling like this, so here if you consider B, C, E, D and B. So if you consider this path, this is an open path. So you are having an open path between C and D. Since you are having an open path between C and D, you can call only this as a network and not as a circuit. Okay, so if you consider the whole part, if you are considering the whole thing, then this you should consider it as a network, not as a circuit, because here in one path you cannot connect, you cannot you are not having any resistance, so current cannot flow through this path. Okay, so what is important here is, one is closed path. Closed path, or in other way you can say that it is a loop. Current can flow only in the closed path or a loop. In open circuit, current cannot flow. Okay, why? Because it is like we are connecting an infinite resistance between the terminals. So if you are connecting an infinite resistance, I is equal to V by R. So the resistance is infinite, so your current will be 0. Okay, so that is the basic difference. These things we will be using in the uh, subject frequently. Okay, so the next thing is circuit elements. We have seen electrical circuit. Electric circuit means that interconnection of electrical elements. Mainly we will deal with resistor, inductor, capacitor, current source, and voltage source. So we will see in much detail about this current source and voltage source later, but here we will be dealing with these kind of elements only, okay, in our complete subject. Okay, so in this subject, basically what we are going to do, we are going to do circuit analysis. Circuit analysis in the sense we are going to deal only with two parameters mostly. One is V and another one is I. That is the voltage and the current. We will be either finding the voltage across some component or current through some component. Based on this voltage and current, we will be obtaining the other things like power, energy and all. Okay, so that is different thing. But basic thing is in electrical analysis or basic circuit analysis, we are going to deal only with two parameters. One is voltage and the second one is current. Okay, so this types, the circuit elements are broadly classified into two types. One is active element and the second one is passive element. Okay, so if you are saying it as an active element, it means that you are going to supply through this element. Okay, so suppose if you are having a battery, if you are having a battery like this, then you will be having positive polarity and negative polarity. If you are connecting a resistor here, this battery can supply power, right? But this resistor can only absorb power, right? So here this is going to supply and this is going to be consume or absorb. So in that case, or dissipate, you can call either consume or dissipate. That would be more appropriate than absorb. So you can consider either consume or dissipate, means power is being supplied by this battery and it is consumed by this resistor. Okay, so now if I say this, then you will say that I have an inductor and if I have a capacitor, you will say that this inductor will charge and this inductor will also discharge. Similarly, this capacitor will charge for some time period and this is going to discharge. Then should I call this inductor as an active element or a passive element? What I'm saying is, here I told that whichever is consuming energy, that is called as passive element, whereas which is supplying, that is called as an active element. Okay, but when you consider an inductor and when you consider a capacitor, you know very well that the inductor and capacitor is capable of storing charges. This is going to store in terms of magnetic field, this is going to store in terms of electric field. So it is going to store, basically it is going to store energy, that you know very well, right? Then do you call this as an active element or do you have to call this as a passive element? Here you should call this basic inductor and this basic capacitor as passive element only. Why do you need to call this as a passive element? Okay, main thing is, here you know that this inductor will charge. Okay, this inductor has charged for X amount. Okay, forget about the unit, everything. You just say that some X quantity of charge or X quantity of some energy is stored in this inductor. Okay, so how much it can discharge? It can discharge only to the maximum of X quantity, not more than that. Means it is charging for X amount, again it is going to discharge for X amount. So it cannot discharge more than this X amount, means it is not capable of discharging more than what it has stored. Okay, so if you see, it is charging and discharging. Okay, if you add charging and discharging, if you consider charging as plus or you consider charging as minus and the discharging as plus, charging and energy discharging, so in that case you will have the zero value. You will have the zero value. It means that the net power provided by the individual element is either you don't consider either now, you can say that it is equal to zero. The net energy supplied by the inductor and the capacitor is always zero, means that whatever it has charged, that is going to be discharged. Okay, so that's why it is mentioned passive element cannot supply power. And the other point you should note it down here is net power cannot be greater than 0. What is the net power? Actually, you can consider it as a net energy. It will be more easier to understand how much it is charged. To that extent only it can discharge. Okay, if I give you 10 rupees, you can give me maximum of 10 rupees, not more than that. So this is like a charging. Okay, you consider like this. So this is like a charging and this is like discharging. Okay, so here it will be like 0. So I am giving you 10 rupees. You do not have any other amount. So how much amount you can give me back? You can give me a maximum of 10 rupees. So your overall thing will be 0. Means that you cannot give more than 10 rupees. That's what it means here. But the active element can supply more power. So here it need not to store the charges, or it need not to store, or it need not to consume. Here it is going to supply continuously where the net power is greater than 0 here. Okay, so I hope that you would have understood this. If you have any doubt you can ask, else we can proceed further.
Excuse me,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Sir, what about mobile batteries or laptop batteries? Firstly, they consume power, then after that they discharge.
Yes, that is like that. You can again you can consider like a capacitor there. Okay, see,
Yes, sir.
if you are using a chemical battery, it is not like that. It is of a different operation, right? Actually,
Yes.
when you go for mobile battery, obviously whatever it is charging, that much only it is discharging. That I understand. That I agree also. But if you are using a battery based on chemicals, like if you are using a battery for wall clock, right? For that you are not charging it directly. Based on the chemical reaction, you are having the battery, right? So that you can consider like a power source. Did I answer your question? Uh, Whether my voice is breaking, actually your voice is breaking to me. Did I answer your question? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Okay, then let me proceed. So we have seen what is active element and what is passive element. These are the broad classification. Now we will further classify this active element. This active element is again broadly classified into two types. One is voltage source, another one is current source. Okay, what is voltage source? If you wanted to say in the layman point of view, the voltage source, basically the voltage source can provide infinite amount of current at a fixed voltage. Okay, this voltage source, let's say that this voltage source, let's say that this is having 10 volt as voltage. At 10 volt, it can supply even infinite amount of current. This is for theoretical point of view, not for practical point of view. Theoretically, the source voltage will not change. Without changing the source voltage magnitude, it can supply infinite amount of current. Okay, similarly, a current source, if you consider, we will discuss in detail. Yeah, if you consider a current source, then that current source can provide same amount of current. If the current source magnitude is 10 ampere, then it can supply 10 amps of current irrespective of the voltage across that. Okay, so you can also have possibly practically you cannot get infinite volt, but some voltage less than finite. So you can consider that there is a finite voltage. If there is a finite voltage, then this current source can supply 10 ampere at that finite voltage. Okay, it can be 10 to the power of 6, 10 to the power of 8, 10 to the power of 9, whatever it may be the voltage, but this current source can supply maximum of 10 ampere. Similarly, here the voltage source is capable of providing 10 volt, even the current can be infinite. Okay, when the current can be infinite, only if you have a resistance across this element as 0. If you have a resistance across this element as 0, then V divided by R is equal to I, you know. So if R is 0, then you will get infinite current. That is also theoretical point of view, not for practical point of view. So In short, voltage source is going to give fixed voltage irrespective of the current magnitude. Okay, then the current source is going to give fixed current irrespective of the voltage across that element. Okay, we will discuss in detail now. So this is just the basic explanation of voltage source and current source. Okay, so voltage source means it is going to give fixed voltage irrespective of the current. Current source means it is going to give fixed current irrespective of the voltage across that particular source. Okay, just a minute. It got hang. So now let us discuss in detail. The first active element is voltage source, and the second active element is current source. Okay, this voltage source is again classified as independent voltage source and the dependent voltage source. Okay, this voltage source is again classified as independent voltage source and the dependent voltage source. Okay, so if you want to represent an independent source, it may be a current source or voltage source. So you can consider like this: you are having a voltage source. This voltage source is further classified into independent voltage source and a dependent voltage source. Okay, similarly, the current will be classified as the independent current source and dependent current source. So for representing independent voltage source, see, I am writing in the cross. Is it easily? Is it easy to understand for you, or should I have to write in the horizontal manner? I am writing in cross. Is it fine, or should I have to write it in horizontal way?
It's fine, sir.
Okay, fine.
Okay, sir.
So just a minute. Okay. So here we are having voltage source and current source, that is further classified into independent and dependent. So how to symbolically represent the voltage source and how to symbolically represent the current source, that we are going to see. So first we will talk about independent source. So irrespective of whether it is an independent voltage source or current source, we should be having a circle. Okay. For independent current source or voltage source, first thing you should mention is the circle. Okay, then within the circle, if it is a voltage source, you should mention it as a positive and negative like this, and if it is a current source, you should mention it with an arrow mark symbol. Okay, so that's what I had mentioned. A voltage source or independent voltage source can be represented like this, and independent current source can be represented like this. This battery, this is alternatively they will use, you can either use like a battery or either you can use like a voltage source like this. Okay, both are voltage sources. A battery is also an independent voltage source. Practically it is not independent voltage source. Actually practically also it is an independent voltage source, but there is further divisions that we will see later. But this battery is also a voltage source, independent voltage source. The independent voltage source should be represented with a circle or a battery like this, and it should be represented with the positive and negative sign. For the independent voltage sources, it can be represented like this. If it is a current source, you should be represented with the circle and you should be having an arrow mark. What this arrow mark signifies is the current is going to be coming out of this terminal. That's why this current arrow mark is representing. In case if you are representing the arrow mark like this, then you can say that the current is going downwards, or here you can say that the current is going upwards. Okay, so this is about the independent voltage sources and current sources. Now we will talk about dependent voltage source and dependent current source. So when you are talking about dependent sources, you should represent it with the diamond symbol. Okay, it may be a dependent voltage source or dependent current source, that is secondary, but if it is a dependent source, you should represent it with the diamond symbol. Okay, again, for a dependent voltage source, you should be representing with the plus and minus. So this is dependent voltage source will be represented like a plus and minus like this. So this diamond symbol represents the dependent source, and this plus minus represents that it is a dependent voltage source. Similarly, for a dependent current source, we have to put diamond first, then we should represent it with the arrow mark. Okay, so here this is a dependent current source. So this we will see in detail what is the dependent source, that we will see later. But as of now, you just understand the basic classification: independent and dependent current sources and voltage sources. It is the symbolic representation. Again, we will see why it is called like that. Okay, so this is the basic symbolic representation, how you can consider that independent and dependent sources. Now we will further classify it. Just a minute. So now we first classified these two things into dependent and independent. Now this independent source is further classified into two things. One is ideal, other one is practical. Ideal in the sense, mainly we are considering one thing. So we are talking about sources. Okay. So within the sources, there is no power loss. Ideal means there is no power loss within the source. No power loss. Okay, but practical sources will be having power losses within the source itself. Power loss exists for practical sources, irrespective of whether voltage source or current sources, you are having power loss. Okay, so this you just understand, then we will see further later. Okay, so here for an ideal current source, there is no internal resistance. Okay, that we will not discuss it now, so you will get confused. So main thing is ideal does not have any power loss and practical is having power loss. Why we are reading about ideal is, ideally this is not available in the real time. This is the only thing which is available in real time. That's why it is mentioned as practical. Then why we are talking about ideal part is, this is the easiest way to analyze from for the beginners. So we are starting with the ideal, then we will be talking about the practical thing. Okay, so only thing is, for ideal sources internal losses will not be there, for practical sources internal losses will be there. Okay, so now with this basic understanding, let us go into one thing about this independent sources. Okay, so just a minute. So let us proceed. So the definition of ideal independent sources: if it is a fixed if it is a voltage source that is going to give you a fixed voltage irrespective of the current, as I said before. Similarly, if it is a current source, it is going to give you a fixed current irrespective of the voltage across it. Means that if you are having a circuit like this, okay, if you are having a circuit like this, and if you are having a, okay, we'll go to next slide. Okay, so here you are having a voltage source, then you are having a resistor. Okay, now this is the complete source. Now we will mention that the voltage across this thing as VAB. The source voltage is Vs and the voltage across this terminal A and B as VAB. Okay, so VAB. Now this voltage source is having certain magnitude. Let us fix to some voltage, let's say 10 volt. So what is the current which can come out of this source? The current come out of this voltage source is decided by the external element. What is the external element mean? Here the external element is resistor. In general, if you are having a source, whatever the element you are connecting after, let's say this is terminal A and this is terminal B. Means why we are drawing this terminal A and terminal B is, so each element will be having two terminals. That's why we have mentioned like this A and B. So after this terminals A and B, irrespective of whatever the elements connected here, this voltage will be fixed. Okay, the voltage across the source will be fixed, but the current coming out of the voltage source is decided by the elements which is connected here. Okay, you are connecting n elements here in series or parallel combination. The overall current is decided by the external element connected to this source. Okay, so to make it an easy understanding, so let us consider that Just a minute. Just a minute. Not one note. So this is the voltage source. So here we will draw it again. So you are having a voltage source, then across this you are going to connect some resistor. Let us consider that this resistor is a variable resistor. Okay, this voltage source magnitude is fixed, that is 10 volt, that is not going to change. Okay, so this we are considering it as an ideal independent voltage source. So now what we are going to do, we are going to choose one value for Vs and accordingly we are going to see the current. Okay, so initially we will consider that 0.1 ohm for this resistor. If you consider 1.1 ohm for the resistor, what will happen? You can find I, the current through this path. I is nothing but V divided by R. So V is 10 volt, 10 divided by 0.1, you will get 100 ampere. You got 100 ampere here, right? So similarly, if you put R as 1 ohm, then you will get the current flowing through this circuit as 10 ampere. 10 divided by 1, then you will get 10 ampere. Then we are keeping this as a constant, only this resistor we are going to change. So first we had kept it at 0.1, then we had considered 1, then we are considering 10, then we are considering 100. So if you consider in this fashion, so if it is 0.1, you are going to get I as 10 divided by 0.1, so you will get 100 ampere, right? So if you give 1 ohm as a resistor here, then you will get 10 ampere. Then if you give 10, you will get 1 ampere here, right? So 1 ampere, 10 divided by, you will get 1 ampere. Then if you give 100 ohm for this resistor, then you will get 10 divided by 100, you will get 0.1 ampere. So now what is the voltage value? Voltage value is 10 for all the thing. So this is the voltage value, this is the resistor value, so this is the current value. You can see that the resistance value is changing. Okay, if the resistance value is changing, the current is also changing. Here actually the resistance value is increasing. Since the resistance value is increasing, you can see that the current is being decreased. Okay, but if you see, the voltage across the source is remain the constant. Basically here you can consider another voltage. This is Vs. Let's say, let us consider a voltage that is across this terminal VAB. Okay, why we are considering that, we will understand later, but we are considering the voltage that is VAB. So this element, whatever the voltage across the source, will be appearing across this terminal A and B as of now, because you know that, you know the series and parallel combination, I hope. So let us consider that if you are connecting an element here like this, then if you are connecting another element like this, then you can call that two elements are in parallel. Or in a simpler way, suppose if you are having a source like this, and if you are having a resistor like this, If you are connecting only this terminals, only these terminals, then you can say that it is a series element. Whatever the current enters here, that current will be flowing through this path, flowing through this resistor. Okay, so you can call that this source and this resistor are in series. Okay, so in the same way, if you are connecting two terminals, both the terminals like this, one terminal is like this and another terminal is connected like this of each element. So in the top, both the terminals are connected. In the bottom also, both the terminals are connected. If it is like this, you will call it as a parallel component. Okay, so here the voltage in this source and the voltage across the resistor will remain the same. Okay, why, that we will see later. That is based on Kirchhoff's voltage law, you know already. So if you are having two elements, then those two elements, top terminal and bottom terminal, are connected each other like this, then you can call it as a parallel connection. Or if only one terminal is connected between these two elements, then you can consider it as a series element. In the series element, the current will be same between those two elements. In the parallel element, in the parallel circuit, you will be having voltages same among those various elements. Okay, so as of now, you just consider that if the voltage across this resistor is 10 volt, obviously the voltage across this terminal A and B will be 10 volt. Also, you can also say that the source voltage is 10 volt, so the voltage across this terminals A and B is also 10 volt. Okay, so now for this case, the source voltage will always be equal to VAB. Okay, the voltage across this source will also be equal to the voltage across the terminals A and B. Okay, so in that case, you can see here that you can see here that the Vs is constant, also the VAB is constant. Here, note one point, this Vs will never change, but this VAB will also never change for this condition, because we are not considering internal losses here. Okay, we are not considering internal losses within the source. Okay, so if you plot the voltage and current for this particular source, then you forget about the resistor. You just consider that you are changing the resistor. You forget about the resistor, but you just consider that this current is going to change when you are having external element, and if you change that external element resistance value, this current is going to change. That is the current coming out of the source. So if that is the case, if you plot the voltage and current, you can see that if the current is going infinite, even if the current is going to infinite, your voltage magnitude is going to remain constant. Okay, so this is an ideal case. Practically, this will not be possible. Practically, when you increase the current, to certain extent it will be behave like an ideal in nature, means that at that time the voltage of the source will not change, whereas that mainly this VAB, to certain extent for a practical source, this VAB will not change. If you further increase the current, then this voltage VAB will reduce for a practical independent voltage source, whereas for an ideal independent voltage source, the source voltage will be equal to the VAB. This VAB will never change irrespective of the current magnitude. Okay, so if this is the ideal independent voltage source, here I have mentioned ideal, non-practical, and there is no internal loss. Okay, that is one thing. Then for a practical voltage source, how you can represent the practical voltage source is represented with the voltage source with a resistor in series. Okay, this resistance is available within the source itself. Okay, suppose if you are having a battery like this, then actually that battery will be having an internal resistance. Okay, it will not be a symbolic representation, but this will be having its own resistance. So because of that resistance, what will happen is because of that resistance, what will happen is there will be a power loss when there is a current flow in this path. I told that there is a resistance, internal resistance for the battery. If there is some current flow in this through this battery, then the power will be dissipated as a heat that will be given by I square R loss. Okay, this is because of the R internal. Okay, so mainly what they are representing in the practical sources, they are going to represent one main thing is they are going to represent the power loss which is happening within the source. Okay, there is a power loss within the source that they are going to represent using a resistor. Okay, and you can ask, if I want to represent a power loss, why don't I add it in the parallel way? Why should I add it in the series way? It will be an obvious question, right? Because I told that I have a voltage source. To represent the practical voltage source, I am adding a resistor in series. Why I did not add a resistor in parallel? To answer that, what they realized in the practical scenario is, if you have a voltage source, let me put it here. If you have a voltage source, then you are having a voltage source. Okay, then they are having a load. We will connect it later. Let's consider that you are going to connect one element. Okay, let's consider that you are going to connect one element. So what they found is, in the practical case, if you are having a voltage source, two things they realized. One is power loss within the source. If it is a power loss within the source, you can add a resistor in series or you can add a resistor in parallel, right? In both the cases, power loss, this is the complete source. In both the cases, power loss will happen. Okay, if the power loss need to happen, what should I have? I should have certain resistance. If I have certain resistance, whenever there is some current flow, there will be some power dissipation within the source. So I will be having I square R loss within the source. So I can represent with both the connections. Either it can be series or it can be in the parallel or in series. But what they realized is, when the current is increasing, there is a reduction in voltage across this terminal A and B. Okay, we already discussed about the voltage across the terminals VAB in the previous diagram. So here what they realized is, when the current is increasing in a practical source, when the current is increasing in the practical case, what is happening is, the power loss is happening. For representing power loss, it is sufficient to have a resistor, so that's fine. Then what they realized is, they realized that there is a voltage reduction when there is an increase in current. So that voltage reduction is given as a voltage drop. Okay, so if you want to represent a voltage drop, you should consider the resistor in series, not in parallel. Okay, why? That also we will discuss. You know that this is terminal A and this is terminal B, and you are having a resistor here. Okay, this is the load resistor and this is the R internal. Okay, and this is the voltage source. Why I am representing in the series? Now again, we will see in the later on stage, when the current is increasing, when the current flowing through this path is increasing, then I into R internal, that is the voltage drop appearing across this resistor. If the current is R internal is fixed, for example, you consider that R internal as 1. If the R internal has 1 ohm, then for 1 ampere of current, you will be getting a voltage drop of 1 volt. Okay, so similarly, if 10 ampere current is flowing, then 10 volt will be dropping across this resistor. If 20 ampere is flowing, obviously 20 volt is dropping across this resistor. So it means that this is going to give, or this is going to give the problem of this voltage drop also. Why I don't connect it in parallel? If I connect a resistor, internal resistor in parallel for a voltage source, this will obviously will give the power loss. Okay, this will obviously will give the power loss. The problem here is, whatever the voltage across this, that voltage will be appearing across this resistor. Then this VAB will also be same, because it is like I have connected these elements in parallel. This is B, this is A. Okay, this is A, and if you are connecting a resistor here, so if I connect the internal resistance like this, Obviously I can represent the power loss, but I cannot mention the power drop here. Sorry, I cannot represent the voltage drop or the reduction in voltage if I connect it in parallel, because you know that in a parallel circuit the voltage is going to be same, and in the series circuit the current is going to be same. So if I say that the voltage is going to be same when it is connected in parallel, obviously you cannot represent the voltage drop if you connect the resistor in parallel for the internal resistance. So in order to represent both the power loss and the voltage drop, you are connecting the resistor in series rather than in parallel. So we are not connecting is this is going to represent the power loss as well as the voltage drop. When there is an increasing current within the source, they realized that there is a power loss as well as there is a voltage drop within the source. To represent that, they have added like this. Okay, so with this knowledge we'll go back. So consider here, as I said before in the previous case, we are having an R internal here. So R internal is connected with the voltage source. Now with the same calculation, we will find the current now. I is equal to V divided by R, that you know. This R is the load resistance that is given here. And this R INT is the R internal that is given here. Now what I am doing, again I am fixing the voltage of Vs. Remember, this Vs is not going to change. This Vs is not going to change. Only the voltage across this terminal VAB is going to change. Okay, that means that once it's coming out of the source, the voltage value is reducing. That also they are find that the power loss is going to be happen. Okay, so this Vs is going to constant, that I have considered as 10 volt for all the cases. Then I have fixed this R internal. R internal is going to be remain constant. So I have taken R internal as 0.5 ohm. Then this load resistance I am going to change. Similar to the previous case, I have taken 0.1 110 100 ohm. So for this case, if I substitute in this formula to find the current, I am getting the current as this. Okay, obviously when the resistance is increasing, the current is going to reduce. So that is secondary. Now our motive is to find the voltage across the terminal VAB. So if you find the voltage across the terminal VAB, then what is happening? Actually, if you are seeing from bottom to top, you can see that the current is increasing. As I told before, when the current is increasing, you can see that the voltage across the terminal VAB is this. Okay, so this is the voltage across the terminal VAB. Okay, so here when the current is increasing, the voltage across the terminal is going to decrease, as I said before. That is one thing. And the second thing is, when the current is increasing, the voltage drop within the source is going to increase, that you can see clearly here. Okay, so when the current is increasing for the load, then what is happening? The voltage is reducing. Then when the voltage is reducing, then voltage across the terminal VAB is reducing. Why it is reducing? Because of the higher current, there is a significant voltage drop within the source. Why it is having a voltage drop? Because we are having an R internal. R internal is nothing but the internal resistance that is going to give a finite voltage drop within the source. Okay, so for this case, if you plot it in a graph, you can say that if the current is increasing to an infinite way, initially the voltage will be VAB, then later on it will be keep on reducing, and for certain instant it may become zero also. Actually, ideally it will not be zero, but it will become very less. Okay, for the similar fashion, if the current is increasing, the internal voltage drop is keep on rising. Okay, so that will be keep on increasing, and the voltage across the terminals will be keep on reducing. So what is happening is the power loss within the source is increasing. You can see here that if the current is higher, the power loss within the source is also higher. That's why I said when the current is increasing, the power loss within the source is also increasing. So you can see here that actually the current is varying from almost 0.1 to 17 ampere. So here the power is power loss within the source. This power loss is within the source, that is also increasing as the current is increasing. Okay, is it fine? If you have any doubt, you can ask. Actually, it is already 3. We can end our class now. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Else, we can end this session.
No doubt, sir. We can
Okay,
end this.
fine. Then. So you people can leave.
Thank you, sir.
If you do not have you can leave the class. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.